Welcome to Lounging with Laurie. This is the pep talk you didn't know you needed. Here I share bold truths, personal stories, not just mine, of course, but from some incredible guests as well. This is our nudge to keep moving ourselves towards the life we actually want. So stick around and join me on the journey. We're actually aiming for the 5% club, whether we talk about it or not. I think sometimes we have these dreams or these goals, and generally, they're big ones. That's okay. But we think, I am just never going to get there. And I think because we don't do enough reflection, or there's so much noise, or we're just too, in quotation marks, busy, we forget to take a look at our current state and our current presence right now and go, I actually am doing exactly what I hoped, exactly what I dreamed. I am in that location, or I've made it to where I wanted to go. However, it just looks that little bit different. And this has been a conversation I had, well, quite a few times, but literally just yesterday with a girl. So I thought I'd talk about it today because so many times people hold themselves back from doing something because it doesn't look exactly how they had planned in their mind. And so they just don't go after it and they just don't do it. And I don't want that for you. I want you to go chase it and do it, even if you have to do it by yourself, even if it's not where you think is the right location, the right job, or something like that. I'm going to share how I've learned this lesson myself, because I have, and how I've seen it play out for others, like the girl that I was speaking to yesterday. And as you know, I'm always talking about this, why having the right people in your corner can really help you see the opportunities that you might be too close to see. Dreams rarely walk in a straight line. They meander, they climb hills, they take detours, but they always know where they're headed. And so chasing a dream is a lot like planting a garden. And you imagine the perfect flowers. You know exactly how they bloom, you know when they bloom. You can even envisage cutting those flowers and creating these beautiful designs around the house. But nature has its own timing. Storms come, seeds sprout differently. Some flowers appear when you don't expect them to, or they appear not as you expected them to. But it doesn't mean that your garden has failed. It just grew in its own way, and it's still beautiful. And sometimes that's even better than the picture you had in mind, the little quirks. So therefore, big dreams, different paths, and that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. And by the end of the episode, I think you'll walk away with a way to reframe your success or a dream that's actually coming true. You'll have permission to continue to chase your dreams, even if the plan changed. In fact, reach for the stars. And I'll give you a reminder that to choose your people wisely, because people matter. And because sometimes they'll see what you can't. So we all create these movies in our heads. We picture what our future looks like, certainly when we're a lot younger as well. We have a city, or a location we think we're going to grow up in. We've got all the timings mapped out. We've got our ideal partner and how amazing they look and who they are and all the good qualities that we love about them. And when it doesn't play out like that, we always think we've failed, or perhaps that dream isn't for us anymore. And psychologists call this anchoring bias. So where you fixate on the first version of the dream, just as you imagined, and then you struggle to accept anything that looks different. But life doesn't usually deliver things exactly as we expect, and I'm sure that you know this. And sometimes I think that's a gift. I remember it was about 2009, and I was visiting Dubai with my partner at the time. And I said to him, oh, I can imagine living here. And he said, absolutely not. There's no way I would ever live here. And off we go. But then come 2014, I'm back here. I've got a job. I live here for a couple of years, actually. And I remember the moment where I suddenly thought, I had that moment of, I remember back in 2009 when I said I was going to live here one day, and now I'm actually doing it. This is amazing. And I was really proud of myself. And I thought, oh, cool. And of course, it did look different because I wanted him to be a part of that. And I thought I'd still have the different job that I had at the time when I had the thought. And of course, all of that had changed. And then I remember, let's fast forward to like 2019 type time, where I was always like, my goal is to live 6 months here and 6 months there. And I just used to say 2 different locations, and I didn't care where they were. I just assumed it would be Europe and Australia, but I wanted 6 months in, different locations. And I was doing a bit of contract work back in 2019. And as it turns out, I was living in 2 locations because I was flying between the UAE and Australia. And it was late 2019 when I just had that moment of, oh my gosh, I'm actually living my dream of living in 2 locations 6 months of the year. Of course, it looked completely different. I'm not on this gorgeous European holiday, but I am living out a dream of living in 2 different locations. So, it does definitely look different, and that's okay. So maybe the question isn't, did I get my dream and did it come true? But am I living it differently than I imagined? And is it still good? I was recently speaking with someone yesterday, actually, that's how recent. And she had this big dream to move to Dubai. And she'd planned it for quite some long. I guess she just dreamed about it more so than planning it. But she was just about to take the big leap, and then her personal circumstances changed. And from that moment, everything felt uncertain. And part of her allowed that dream to die along with her personal circumstances that had changed significantly. And she reached out to me. I said, what do you really want? She said, I want to move to Dubai. I said, then you just need to make it happen. And obviously the conversation was a lot more detailed than that. But your dreams don't expire. They're just changing shape. So if this is something you want, maybe it doesn't look like that. Maybe you're not bringing your children across as well. Maybe you start without them, they follow. Maybe you're not in the city that you would imagine. Maybe you're moving to another city and you don't have the job that you wanted, or you don't have as nice a accommodation that you had planned and all those sorts of things. Maybe it's just shaped very differently. Long story short, she has made the decision to follow her dream and she's going to do it anyway. And yes, it's just going to look a little bit different, but she's just not going to let anything stop her. And she's in this great space in her life right now, which I absolutely love. And I don't know her very well at all, but we had met, maybe a few months ago. And I think being separate from her entire world and not knowing, not being emotionally attached to the situation helped her gain clarity on what she needed to do. And that's what she was needing in that moment, which is why it comes back to people matter. And so it also comes back to when life doesn't look like you pictured it, don't stop. Just adjust the lens and keep going. As I've said, sometimes we're too close to the problem to see the possibilities. We have our own fears, our biases, and expectations cloud our view. And that's why having the right people around you matter. And that is in all aspects of your life, whether it's business, and this happens to me all the time. I can overthink almost everything, particularly when I'm deep down into like the funnels of, the sisterhood or, specific events that are running or the content specific things. I way overthink it. And then I get this tunnel vision. And then someone close to me might just say, hang on, have you thought about it this way? And suddenly, well, for the way that I operate, I need to take a step back for a minute. So I just close up shop for a couple of hours or whatever. But then I suddenly do see some solutions that come to me. They come to me like a freight train. But prior to that, I was completely blinded. I was probably a little bit numb because I was just too deep into the rabbit hole. And I was also having this thought the other day. It's like, if I've got a spare hour of my day or I've got a weekend free, who is it that I actually want to spend my time with? And it's going to be based on my life. And I'm not going to, tell you who those people are right now, but it's based on my life and the season that I'm in for right now. And if that's for me is about growth, then I want to be around people that are inspiring me. If it's about self-care, then I want to be around people that are inspiring me in that self-care space. So if I can't get to the gym for a while and I've lost my motivation, those people that are hitting the gym and talking about fitness and health, I need to be around those because they inspire me to want to be like them and to live that life myself. And so the more I surround myself with those people, next minute, it's become my next habit. And then it gets into my routine, and then it becomes the norm because I'm in that routine now and I can do it by myself. So then I'm ready to move on to the next thing. Anyway, so where I was going with that was, if you're at work and you've got people that are absolutely sucking the life out of you, they don't inspire you, they maybe don't support you, and you're feeling even the slightest bit numb or it's a toxic environment, then you should absolutely not be there, in my opinion. It's time for change, or it's certainly time for you to think about how can I manage or rewrite the way in which I'm spending my time at work and around those people. You don't need to, completely change your life, but you should certainly look at it and see how you can kind of change that just that little bit. I've got a couple of friends who always pull me up on my blind spots. Now, they're very particular when they tell me these things, as in they choose their timing well. They don't sit there and pull me up every day in everyday conversation, but they tell me the truths I sometimes don't want to hear. But I love and appreciate that, because without those people, obviously I would be wearing the same glasses and never notice that there's another path forward. And it's not only just pulling me up on the way that I think, it's also pulling me up on some of my qualities that aren't necessarily the way I would like to be seen. And that's also a good thing. And I think if you don't have someone who can do that for you, and you'll know because certain people will tell you and you're not even open to listening to them. But there'll be a trusted friend or even a mentor or someone that becomes your sounding board who you're open to listening to. So if you don't know who those people are, then maybe that's your very first step, is finding someone who can lovingly challenge you. They'll help you see where you're getting in your own way. So write down what matters to you in the people you spend time with. Do they inspire you, challenge you, support you? Do they make you laugh? Are they fun? And if not, maybe it's time to choose differently, or just have a good think about that. I really think that the people you surround yourself with will either expand or shrink you, but you don't deserve to be shrunk. So your dream doesn't have to look the way you first imagined it for it to count. Remember that. Sometimes the path is longer, the conditions are different, or, we have these circumstances that change suddenly. And that doesn't mean that you can't still have what you want. It just means you need to be flexible on the how and relentless about the what. Don't quit on a dream just because it looks different today. Adjust, pivot, and then keep chasing those goals. So just to wrap up, I'm going to go through the cut it, keep it, claim it for me for this fortnight. My cut it is the belief that my dreams only count if it happens the exact way I had it in my mind. What I'm keeping is what I'm really chasing, which is the freedom and the feeling and the clarity on the life that I want to build. And what I'm claiming, what step can I take next to chase that dream? And actually, I already know what that next step is now that I'm saying that out loud. Even if the route looks different now, what's that next step? And I can tell you, because I've just recently pivoted on something. I thought I had it all mapped out and what it looked like. And now I've suddenly decided in the last month, it's not. What I need to do is pivot a little bit. And I'm super excited about that as well. So things are constantly changing and evolving, but it's still getting me to that same destination. So I'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for listening. Big dreams, small steps. Let's start moving. Keep showing up, keep backing yourself, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you for joining us on the Sisterhood Collective podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And if you want to be the first to hear what is new at Sisterhood Collective, you can find out more on our Instagram, or you can sign up to receive our weekly newsletter and let the good times continue to roll. Now it's time to turn your clear vision into bold action.